American born of beats and blood, the concert of the sun unplugged. I'm the American born of beats and blood, the concert of the sun unplugged. I'm the American born of beats and blood, the concert of the sun unplugged.
What's up? This is Axiom for Grounded TV, and this is the second in a three-part series we have with Saul Williams. So we hope you enjoy it. Also, we've been running a contest so you can do the best spoken word piece, and we selected a winner. The winner will be announced next episode, so tune in, check out the third part of the series, and find out who won. They get a free video by Sid Woodward, so that'll be dope.
I've been a part of the Afropunk community in New York for forever long it's existed, which is like maybe 7-8 years, you know. I think of it as a safe haven for, particularly for artists of color or from urban environments who interest and taste in music is a bit alternative, a bit different from the norm or the status quo, especially in America, you know, where you don't see a lot of groups coming out of America like the Deers, for instance, or something, you know, and a lot of times those kids grow up feeling isolated and feeling like, you know, that they're not accepted not only by peers but even by the music community at large. I mean, it sounds like whining or what have you, but I mean, I've had major music corporations tell me, you know, they didn't know what to do with my album because it wasn't hip hop, and I've been very clear, like, well, I never said I was doing a hip hop album, you know, but they have a very clear, have had in the past a very clear idea of what certain groups of people, what kind of music they're supposed to make, and if you stray from that, then sometimes you can feel isolated, and Afropunk is those groups of people no longer isolated because they've found each other. That's again because of what this sort of lasting effect I'd like my music to have, and what I like about music and what inspired me to make music. Maybe not in the first place, because when I first started making music, I started out as an MC when I was like 11 or 12, and you know, I was inspired by like LL Cool J and Public Enemy and all that. But when I came back to music, there was a lot of stuff primarily coming out of the UK, like Goldie, Tricky in particular, Bjork, of course out of Iceland. Portishead was huge for me. A lot of trip hop and drum and bass and just alternative hip hop. So by the time I started recording, you know, where the executives may have been wondering why I wasn't trying to sound more and more like Jay-Z, and I'm playing them Tricky and Portishead albums, and I'm like, this is actually what I'm into. You know, I'm playing them Radiohead albums before Radiohead really blew up in the States, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, this is you know, this is what moves me. You know, it's not, you know, and so whatever. It's been a struggle, but it's been by choice, because I've just see no peace in conforming. You know, there's a sound, I guess, that I don't even know what it is that I'm striving for, and so yeah, that means sometimes that you have to go out alone and fight your way through the unknown, and yeah, there are repercussions, but.
Somebody got you programmed like a beat. When I press nail, you guard your grill, press kick, you move your feet, you can't repeat. I got my hydrants parked on every street. I'm a veteran nigga, son of son, come close and feel the heat by every street.
I come from a very crazy town called Newburgh, New York, which is the suburbs of New York, but wild. And anybody from New York State has heard of Newburgh. Anyone from Brooklyn or anyone, you know, like, they know this crazy little town. Russell Simmons produced a documentary on it called Crackhead University. it's an intense town that I'm from, and so like regardless of education or exposure, I'm from the same streets as a lot of people who are known for being from the streets. Both of my parents are from Brownsville, Brooklyn. There's a lot of similarities, and they all know people like me. However, I don't think that playing into some sort of dumbed down idea of myself in the face of, a million cameras and microphones and executives is hard. I think that's a cop-out. I think it's an easy way out. It's a great way to sell albums. But music is so much more than sales, Music affects people, music affects change, and the courage that it takes to be a part of that change, the courage, in trying to truly, grow in the spotlight, when you acknowledge that the spotlight is not an incubator. I have more respect for those artists than I do for artists who I see as just perpetuating an oversimplified norm, And so when I think of the legacy of artists that I love, like Nina Simone, like Fela Kuti, like Bob Marley, like Bob Dylan, like John Lennon, like Cat Stevens, like Joni Mitchell, like Marvin Gaye, like Nick Drake, like Jeff Buckley. When I think of the legacy of so many people who fought so hard to be themselves and to represent something that all of humanity can identify with and grow and heal through, I lose more and more respect for artists who just get in a microphone and talk about how much money they're making. And even though that can serve to inspire people who are not making money, it's not enough. I see it as reactionary. I see it as playing into some sort of capitalistic system that dominates and controls how we think of ourselves and how we think of each other. And I see it as lacking in insight and foresight. And like I said, I have no respect. I don't see it as hard. I think it's harder to grow aloud. I think it's harder to find the patience, to do whatever it is you need to do to not, to not roll with your excuses of, well, I didn't go to school or da-da-da. There's no time for excuses. The streets are a school. I mean, listen to how wise and intelligent Wu-Tang is. Like, there's a group that I have a lot of, respect for, because regardless of how rough the environment that Wu-Tang comes from, there's always something a little bit more. There's always a desire to uplift and to engage on a level that I just don't see with all cats, And so it's just, it's sort of like game, recognized game sort of thing. And a lot of cats, I think, are all game face and no soul. And some of them brag about being soulless or being heartless and what have you. And I think that true power and true strength is in expressing your vulnerability, in saying that, hey, I cry too. I have weak spots too. I have weaknesses. I have failures, and I'm growing. And to be able to do that in front of people, and not be ashamed of that, and not try to project some mechanical idea of what it means to be a man. I think that that's a stronger position.
For the right time, ancient niggas alive, have the cosmic design. Blood of kings for Saturn's rings, don't need no diamonds to shine. Yes, the reason for the season, ornamented divine. Code the language of the mystics with my fist in the sky.